Many greetings from Armenia. Barevdes.
Barevdes.
Thank you for sharing your precious time with us. You were one of the few world leaders who responded to the July events at Armenian-Azerbaijani border. You wrote a letter to the UK Foreign Minister Dominic Raab. I'd like to know what was his response.
Well, there's been a very little formal response. I do I'm vice chair of the all-party parliamentary group for Armenia in the British Parliament, and our chair, Timothy Loughton MP, wrote very well, and he had quite a dialogue with the UK Foreign Office, and they were certainly sympathetic and concerned. But really, there's no action that was taken that I know.
Do you think it's because of the Azerbaijani lobby? As far as I know, the Azerbaijani ambassador in the UK took intensive steps to make your colleagues think that your statements are not objective. Do you think that trade, oil, and such kind of issues mean a lot to the UK? And that's the thing that the foreign minister avoided very strict statements.
Well, I think the problem is that Azerbaijan is very, very powerful on its propaganda. It has a very wide reach of people it reaches with its propaganda, and its propaganda is so distorted that when they wrote me a letter, I was so furious because they talked about Armenian, that was the phrase, delusions of Armenian government. They gave a very, very distorted view of the history of Artsakh, and therefore I wrote my letter back, putting a lot of facts on the record. And might I just suggest one thing? If I had a lot of very positive response to the letter I wrote, because it does make available a lot of the history as well as the current situation. And a lot of people who support Armenia don't really know the background, and therefore they don't know the answers to Azeri propaganda. And so one of the things, the purpose of my letter was to put the facts available for everyone. So when they hear the Azeri propaganda, they will know the truth instead of the propaganda. So I hope that that letter will be helpful to make it available to a lot of supporters of Armenia, but who don't know how to answer the Azeri accusations. And so the purpose of that letter, and it has the support of your party parliamentary group, is to help to make your supporters internationally know the background so they won't be deluded by Azeri propaganda and lies.
What should be done amid UK-Armenia Parliamentary Group? What is your vision for the group agenda?
Well, I think one of the things is to get the truth known. I mean, most people do not know some of the absolutely dreadful things Azerbaijan has done. For example, the killing of that Armenian officer, soldier, hacking him to death in his sleep. And the fact that the Azeri soldier who did that was glorified and promoted and rewarded back in Azerbaijan when he was supposed to be spending a prison sentence. I mean, that was outrageous. During the recent conflicts, the degree of hostility towards Armenia, death to Armenians shouted by the crowds in Baku, the threat to blow up your nuclear power station. I mean, these are absolutely unacceptable policies and very disturbing. And I think the international community needs to know that background. They don't hear that from Azerbaijan. And Azerbaijan has a very strong propaganda regime. And so I think the more one gets the truth out, the more it'll be easy for people to support Armenia and resist Azerbaijan's very, I would say they are deluded accusations and demands. So one of the things I would hope it might be possible would be to inform Armenian supporters who don't necessarily know the background, with the background, so they cannot be deluded by Azerbaijan and can argue back. And you've got right and justice on your side in Armenia.
Let alone your political friendship with Armenia. Our friendship dates to 90s. As far as I know, you are godmother of many Armenian and Artsakh children. I'd like to know if you still keep in touch with them.
I keep in touch with your people as much as I can. I love your people, as you know, I hope. I visited your land 85 times, and every time my admiration and appreciation of your people grows, because not only did you fight an impossible war with tremendous courage and to maintain your victory for the ceasefire against impossible odds was an enormous achievement of courage. The world owes Armenia and Artsakh a debt of gratitude for holding that front line of faith and freedom for the rest of the world. So in the war, I loved and admired your people. And now, as I always say, after the war, Armenians are special. You don't just survive, you create beauty from the ashes of destruction. And so I really admire all you are now doing and rebuilding. And so I come back as regularly as I can. I would have been already this year, but of course with COVID-19 that made that impossible. But I shall come back as soon and often as I can.
We always wait for you, Baroness Cox. I'd like also to know if you have any message to the world leaders who close eyes on the tensions at the Azerbaijan-Armenian border. What offers do you have for them?
I have suggestions for the international community that what Azerbaijan did in its attacks across the Armenian border, and particularly targeting kindergarten, I understand, and equipment, factory-making equipment for very necessary protective equipment against coronavirus. I mean, those are deeds of, I would say, cruelty to target those. It was an absolutely unprovoked war, and I think it deserves very strong condemnation. And I've said, and we've all said at that time, and I think the international community has to understand the background of the present situation. Azerbaijan makes so much propaganda about the occupation of Artsakh, but the history of that is very different. Also, I think the Armenian community could do more to publicize the ethnic cleansing of the Armenians from Nakhchivan. Nakhchivan was Armenian, and now it is totally Azerbaijan. And I was there after the formal, as it were, sort of closure of Nakhchivan to the Armenians, but they were still fighting at the border. I was there when Armenian villages were being attacked and people had to run for their lives. I think the crimes against humanity, which I would call them, that Azerbaijan has prosecuted against the Armenian people, including ones attacking Armenia itself, need to be publicly known and publicly condemned. And I think, say, one of the things I would urge is more, I say, sort of strong defense in the international community, in the media, of Armenia's position, and particularly with your friends, with France, like your friends in Canada, and Azerbaijan has its propaganda, but you have truth. And I think you need to use the truth against the propaganda. And I hope my letter put some of that truth on the record for people who love Armenia but don't know the details of the history and the background.
I'd like also to know the agenda of UK-Armenian Parliamentary Group, because Nagorno-Karabakh conflict has always been a priority, as I see. And what other agenda do you have in the group? What are you going to do in the coming future?
Well, we are a new group, and we have a new and very good chair of the group, Timothy Loughton, MP. We always have to have a member of the House of Commons to chair our groups. I am a vice chair of that group. It has a good membership. I'm very keen. We're going to have our first meeting of the new group very, very soon, and we'll be raising all these issues with the members of the group. They're very keen, very good. Some have been in Karabakh and Artsakh, like Lord Hilton. And I think it'd be very good to establish very strong links with your own parliament in Yerevan. And I hope one will have a visit, because there's no substitute for actually coming, meeting people, seeing the reality. And then I think you can work with passion. At the moment they work with conviction, and they're very, very good. But it would be lovely to establish closer personal links.
Thank you, Baroness Cox. It was our greatest pleasure. Thank you for sharing your time.
Well, thank you for letting me be with you, wonderful Armenian people. You're in my heart, thoughts, and prayers. Thank you. Shat love.
Stay tuned.